baby, this morning. This is Elio Piedra. Another morning means another coffee because this is Morning Coffee with Elio. This is going to be a great day. We have a fantastic guest. Get up, baby, this morning. This is Elio Piedra. Another morning means another coffee because this is Morning Coffee with Elio. And this is another week. This is week number 3 or 4 of the quarantine. I don't know. We are all crazy already. It's okay. It's all good. But another week is another opportunity to keep growing through this time. Keep growing, not going through these times. And my guest, she's an amazing woman, an amazing leader, extraordinary, remarkable leader of Advantage Media Promotions, and you are going to learn more about her right now. And I am super excited to welcome to Morning Coffee with Elio, Nash. Let's give it all up. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing great, Elio. Good morning. How are you?
I am better than good. Now that we are talking here and I have you this Monday morning, what else can we ask for?
Exactly. It's nice to connect for sure.
Yes, I am very excited to talk about, everything that you're doing, your story, your goals, and your future projects. We have some events coming up in September right now that I want to share all about it with people. But before we jump into that, let me ask you, um, how was the conference? We just had an online conference. It was actually, that's the reason I begin today's episode with growing through these times because you create that timeline that is moving forward with confidence. How was the online conference?
Thanks to you, Elio. I think it went great because I think I've shared with you before that technology is not my thing. Like putting conferences together is. So I'm so grateful that we were able to work together to host it. I would say it exceeded my expectations because I feel like we really were able to make a difference in other people's lives. We had over 3,700 views. We had a lot of engagement. So just to see that in our first conference and knowing that our speakers were adding value to those who are listening and people asking questions and us bringing that hope and encouragement, I would say it was very much a success.
That is amazing. How were you able to connect with all those speakers from all over the country?
That was amazing, to be honest. I remembered when I had the idea, like, we didn't even have for 2 weeks to put it together. And I thought, well, I'll just put it out there. And I think it's because we're all in this together. And I think that everybody, that if they're a speaker, if you're in business, you realize that we're all having a struggle right now. And I think people just wanted to use their own talents and their own gifts to share. So, and we're all at home, so we're available. So I think it's just because everybody was willing to support our community.
That is amazing. So, Jill, it is you are the founder of Advantage Media Promotions, and I have some questions for you. And I hope that you like the questions, and I hope that our morning coffee community actually can learn more about your business and why it is important to reach out to you in case they need your services. So, let me ask you this: when did you know that you wanted to do this job, what you're doing now?
That's a good question. So, I went to school at University of Florida and graduated. And my first, or I should say my second job, I only worked for my first job. That's another story, but that was like for 4 months. So I worked for Cox Media for 12 years and I was a sales rep there. And then I decided to come home and raise my children for a while. And whereas I loved that career and felt that I had a degree of success and I love sales, I knew that I wanted to help people at a greater level. I knew if I only sold them advertising on cable, that was one small part of the story. So while I was raising my kids, I would write down some of my business ideas. And one of them was to find businesses and organizations that I believe in because I love to promote. I naturally promote and help them to develop ad or marketing campaigns so that I could showcase what they do and help them tell their story to their potential customers.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. So, how did your earlier career choices lead you to where you are right now?
I would say, again, being with Cox Cable for 12 years, that really helped me prepare because they trained me. We had training conferences. I had 12 years of learning sales, we learned other media. We learned, what worked, what didn't work. And as you know, media is constantly changing. What worked yesterday may not work today. So you have to constantly be learning and growing and, being open to those new ideas. But I would say all that training there is what prepared me to put together those ad campaigns. I was also a part of another business with a group of people that I did, I'd say on the side, but it was probably a good 10, 20 hours a week. I learned a lot through them as well. Some people know it as Amway. And during that, we read a lot of books. At that time, the podcast, they had tapes. I listened to a lot of tapes. I was always growing. So that also helped prepare me for the people part of it.
That is fantastic. And if I ask you, what career mistake has given you the biggest lesson?
You know, that's a good question too. And I would say I don't know if it's so much a mistake as much as something that happened that really caught me off guard. And it was a very difficult time, probably the hardest time. And this was when I talked about my first job. So imagine you graduate, you're excited. I got my first job and I was selling advertising, and 4 months into it, my boss came in to have a conversation with me, and I jokingly said to him, "Hey, don't tell me I'm fired." And I was kidding. And he said, "Well, as a matter of fact, you are." And I just sat there dumbfounded. Like I couldn't even imagine that I was fired. And I asked him what the reason was. And he said, "It wasn't my reason. I can't really give you a reason. And I'm sorry." And that was it. No explanation. So you can imagine that being 21 years of age, coming out of college, that was not what I wanted to hear. I actually called I guess it was the CEO at the time, every day for a week because I wanted answers. I wanted to know, what did I do wrong? What did I improve? Never received a call back. Found out in the state of Florida, you didn't have to give a reason. So whereas that seemed difficult, it opened up the door when I worked for Cox Media. And instead of getting maybe sad about it, I turned it into a very positive thing. I felt like at the time I had something to prove. And I think it was more that attitude, like, I'm going to become the best salesperson there is, and they're going to be sorry they fired me. And like I said, I was a different person back then. We all had areas to grow. I don't know that I would have that same attitude today, that I have something to prove, but it lit a fire under me to where I became the top 5 in the nation. And honestly, I don't know if that would have happened had I not been fired. So it actually caused me to grow more.
Wow, that is such an amazing testimony for everybody out there that is probably going or growing through the same situation. We are very passionate about sharing the message of growing through situations,
Yeah.
to different seasons in our life. Like right now, this time they are super hard. That's very unbelievable. There is 16 revolutionary words that I love about. It's like being be not conformed to this world. Be
Yeah.
transformed by the renewing of your mind, right?
Love
By
it.
Jean Ray.
Yeah.
I love that. So, and I know that you are constantly moving forward with your all the projects that you do. That there are a lot, and after the break, when we come back, we're gonna share more about all of them. But let me ask you this: how do you avoid to be content with what you do? How do you actually keep improving yourself as a role model for your company, for Leader Cast, for Advantage Media Promotions?
I think the best way that I do it is, one, I like to listen to other people so that when we have speakers like, John Spencer, Brandon, or Craig, I'm always listening because I can learn from people who I believe have had even a greater deal of success. I have signed up for things like Story Brand with Don Miller. I'm part of Michael Hyatt's Platform University. Reading books, so I think it's constantly learning from others so that I can continue to grow, so that when I bring LeaderCast, that I'm growing along with everybody else.
That is amazing. If I ask you this quick question, how do you define success?
Wow, that's a um, I would say I define success by loving people, because I think when we're at the end of this, life that we have here, what matters is, did I love my God? Do I love myself? And do I love others? So everything always goes back to love.
I totally agree with you. And you just mentioned a point that is, I think, is key element in every single human being's life. Do you love yourself? That's a question that I will love to ask anybody out there. Do you really love yourself? Because at the end of the day, if you don't love yourself, there is no way that you're going to love anybody else. Because you need to love yourself so you have that confidence, you are that fulfillment that you can spread all over your friends, your family, or your community, just humanity in general. That is amazing. So right now we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, you stay right there because let me tell you, we're about to share with you what is a LeaderCast first of all, and we're about to share with you another amazing organization that Gio has been developing. That I think you must learn about it, and you must be part of this. Plus, we have an amazing event coming up on September. So this is Morning Coffee with Elliot with Gio Nash. This is Morning Coffee with Elio. This is gonna be a great day. We have a fantastic guest right now. So we are coming back after this break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Elio Piedra, another morning. Hey, we are here with Gio Nash in case you are just tuning in, and we're about to learn more. And right now, if you are wondering, how can you get inspired this morning? How can you learn something new? Or how can you keep spreading positive energy and lifting up the spirit of others? I am gonna share with you something that is awesome. And we are coming back right now with Jill Nash. All right. So Jill, what is LeaderCast?
You know, LeaderCast is an event out of Atlanta, Georgia. They've been hosting this event for many years. It's meant to fill the world with leaders worth following. And I found out about it, I say 9, 10 years ago. And somebody had brought it to me. I had been hosting other leadership events, and they were all great. They just weren't profitable. So I had kind of laid that down for a little bit. And it was called Chick-fil-A LeaderCast at the time. And they would have about 8 to 9 speakers, and you can host it in your own community. And I chose to do that for 9 years. And we created it like it was our own event, because even though we were watching things on a screen, we had live MCs, we had our sponsors, we had a lot of local programming like you, or like we brought in Tom Collette, and we made it a lot of fun, and we made it where people can connect as well while we learn leadership all day. So that's what we've done for the last 9 years. And as you know, we're getting ready to transition now to our own live event.
Yes, and you are about to be like 10 years, right? In September, I guess. Like your
Yeah.
10th anniversary.
Yeah, so yeah, it was supposed to be LeaderCraft for our 10th anniversary, but as you know, what we're doing now, we actually had planned to transition anyway. So this new event is called Elevate, and that will be on September 17th. What we don't know is if it's going to be, live, like together, like it's supposed to be at Westside Baptist Church, if it's going to be there or if we're going to do it online. So I'm going to have it backed up, because if for some reason we can't do it live, then we will do another virtual event.
And Morning Coffee is all about helping you with all your events. And so, how people can find about this event coming up on September on your website?
It is not up there yet, because when the coronavirus, came, that's when we decided to do the live event with you last week, I think it was.
Yes.
So maybe within the next month it'll be up, and people can look at my Facebook page, Advantage Media Promotions, and then it'll eventually, probably within the next month, be up on our website.
Awesome. I am gonna put up the website really quick, advantagemediapromotions.com, in case you wanna remember, and a couple months from now you can go ahead and take a look to see if it's up there. But also you can go to Advantage Media Promotions on Facebook. Do you guys also do like Instagram, YouTube, all of those platforms?
We haven't, but now that I have been working out of the house, and we're exploring all kinds of avenues, and that's some of the stuff I'll explore with you as well. So we're looking at all platforms.
Awesome. So what is looking for answers?
Looking for answers is probably one of my greatest passions, and I think that when all is said and done, this is probably going to be the most important thing I've ever done to date because I think it's going to bring people a lot of hope. So I would say several years ago, and I mentioned this, I think, when we had our seminar, I had a few different times where a couple people that I knew either committed suicide after Leader Cast, or they had a daughter that committed suicide, or a husband. We had three different situations. And then, I was looking at the headlines of the newspaper. And as you know, every time you see a headline, whether you actually look at a newspaper or whether it's the news, you'll see things like, oh, that's next school shooting, or, you'll see that the coronavirus, whatever it is, there's always something that's a negative headline. And I kept thinking, what could I do to change these headlines? What could I do so that some of these headlines were never there? And I thought, I want to invite people on a journey of hope. Anybody who knows me know that I love God, that everything I do is faith-based. And in my hope, I hope that my words, my attitudes, and my actions lead people to wanting a relationship with a living God, not religion. And so I thought, if I created this website of resources, not everybody's like ready or willing to go to a local church. But let's say somebody is sitting at home and they're on their phone and maybe they're feeling hopeless, or maybe they're angry, maybe they've been abused, maybe they're struggling with an addiction, whatever they're dealing with. If I can run some type of ad campaign and use the gifts that I have, I can interrupt their world on their phone, on their TV, wherever it may be, lead them to a website that has video testimonials of people who have overcome, maybe some pastors who are preaching on a specific topic, maybe some things like spoken words, or just different platforms and ways to engage people, but they can find their issue on the website and local resources and national resources to help them, then I can point them in the right direction and help change the headlines.
That's so beautiful. That's very, very amazing and incredible. Let me ask you, how did this project begin? This project, how do you thought about starting this project of looking for answers?
Again, I think it's like what I said a few minutes ago. It was just I was tired of the headlines. I think what really got me started was it was at a time when there were so many either school shootings, or remember there was the Pulse, the shooting at the bar in Pulse. You had the school shooting in I want to say in South Florida. And I remembered, I kept thinking, I am not going to watch the news anymore. I'm going to just click off of it and pretend that it doesn't exist. And I felt like my heart was getting hardened towards it because it could be so painful to think about. And I thought at that moment, I have a choice to make. I can either shut it off so I don't feel the pain, or I can allow myself to feel the pain enough to be part of the answer and part of the solution.
Wow, that's very profound. Let me ask you, because I know it can be stressful, dealing with all these situations, and it can be scary as well, but as you actually been growing through this situation, all these projects, can you tell me what is the most beautiful memory of this project? Looking for answers. Think about the something that actually touched your heart. You say, wow, I will never forget this memory. Can you think about that?
I can't say for looking for answers yet because we're just getting started.
Okay.
We literally just put our first video up because we're creating our own content as well as using content from other people. So the only thing I can say is that in sharing the vision, I have a lot of people on board and that are excited about it. So I know we will have stories to share in the near future, and I hope people will go to our Facebook page. But I can share a story that really touched my heart from LeaderCast.
Oh,
And
that's right.
is that all right? Yeah. So everybody, you comes to LeaderCast, we're so used to the large corporations. They send their teams, and it's business and the chamber and some of the local churches. But I think the story that touched my heart the most is I had a woman named Rose that used to work for me, and she would clean my house. And one year I asked her if she wanted to be a volunteer at LeaderCast, and she said yes. And then Rose and I kind of went our separate ways. And 2 years later, we started talking again. And she said, yeah, I'm so sorry I couldn't help with LeaderCast last year. She said, but I have to tell you how it changed my life. And I said, how? And she said, Jill, she goes, that brought me through like a whole year, because it helped me when I was going to somebody's house, like with business, because she would like clean for people that were car dealers, or, like some people that have been successful in life. So it helped her to interact there. But more importantly, it helped her in her relationship with her children. She took what she learned and was applying it to her family life. And for an entire year or two, it was helping her through. And so the following year, she came to be a part and was helping us again. Rose and I are friends to this day. I was talking to her, well, not talking, we were texting on the phone. But it just showed me that all of us are leaders, no matter what we do. We can be a leader in our family. We can be a leader no matter what we are doing with our lives. And I see Rose as a leader, and that story touched me the most.
That is fantastic. What is your biggest goal right now that you say I wanna make this goal happen so bad right now?
This is pretty big. So I'll share it. My biggest goal is, knowing that we're putting together this website, right? And knowing there's a lot of websites out there that have some new things, but again, I want to run an advertising campaign that leads people there. I want to tug at the heartstrings of people so that when that child or that teenager is watching 9 hours, on of TV or whatever he or she watches on the phone, I want to run an ad campaign. Well, as you know, ad campaigns cost a lot of money. And many years ago in the state of Florida, there was a nonprofit that ran a $10 million ad campaign. And that is the figure that I feel like God put in my heart is to start. And I'll start with less, obviously, but is to create a $10 million ad campaign that will lead people to this website. That's bigger than anything I've ever done. Don't have a clue how to reach that. I will start with 100,000. But once we get back up, we are going to start raising some funds so that we can accomplish that. And for now, I'm just working on the content. So one thing I did want to share, Leo, if your viewers have a story, if they have a testimonial of how they've overcome, we are looking for stories right now because we want to bring those stories of hope. Or if they have a question they want to see answered on our social media, or they have a question they want to see answered on our website, we'd love to know that.
That is awesome. I am super inspired right now. That's a huge goal. But
Yeah, it
it
is.
is, this is the most important thing that people need to know. And I know that it is possible. And you are going to make
Yeah.
it happen for you, for our community, for this country, for everybody out there, because that's going to be on your website that the world is going to be available for everybody. So I am super excited, but we gotta go to our platinum sponsors really quick, and we are coming back in just a minute to keep sharing the amazing story of Jill Nash. Welcome back. Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Elio. We are here. Yes, we are still here with Gio Nash. Gio, you are amazing. You are such an inspiration, for this community, for the international community, I would say, and for our morning community. Yes, our morning coffee community this Monday morning. But let me ask you, Gio, because you are doing so many things for everybody out there, different organizations, different projects. You just shared this amazing goal that you have in your life. So, if I ask you, who has been the biggest influence in Joe Nash?
It's hard to say any one person. So if you don't mind, I'll share a couple people that have been a big influence in my life that led me to the greatest influence in my life. My mom, I would start with just because, I grew up with my mom is single, and I had some relationship with my dad, but she had the biggest influence in my life. And she has always supported me and always taught me that she believed I could do anything. She's always been my biggest cheerleader and supporter. Then I would say next was a woman named Grace Nealis, who just passed away a few months ago. Very tough, but she, when I was in the other business with Amway, she was a huge influence. Anytime I had a need or I was down or upset, I wasn't a Christian at the time. I'm Jewish, but and I wasn't really following Judaism either, but I didn't really have a religion at all at that time. And she would always offer to pray with me. And it was through her love, through her words, through her prayers, without ever trying to even convert me, just being who she was. And those prayers always meant so much. And even when we weren't in business anymore, she was always a strong influence in my life, a prayer partner. And we stayed in touch literally until the day before she went in the hospital and then she passed away. And we talked like right before she had surgery. So huge influence. Another lady is Cheryl Carter, and that's my pastor's sister. And this is on a more personal level, which I don't really mind sharing, but this is when I was young and, pretty much confused. I had just become a Christian, but a lot of people, to be honest, thought I was in a cult, and I wasn't. And it was very difficult. And I had called up the church to ask for some help, and I was pretty much a mess. I literally just called them up. I said, I feel like I'm going crazy. And I wasn't really, but, it was how I felt. I was emotional. And I went to see a pastor, but this lady, Cheryl, was in the room. And she looked at me and she goes, "You aren't going crazy." She said, "You just need a friend." And that was the day she became my friend for well over probably 20 years until she passed away. And we used to meet weekly, and she just imparted so much to my life. And that leads to the ultimate influence, because these women, Grace and Cheryl, they are the ones that led me to God, show me that it was a real relationship. So I'm definitely grateful for them, because I feel like the Bible and following Jesus is probably my greatest example.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I am gonna ask you, Jill, because with all this situation that we have right now, with COVID-19, businesses, without employees, because they are basically losing employees. They are growing through super, super tough times. Before we go, what would you say to everybody out there that is having a tough time, that they need some words of encouragement? What would you say to them?
We definitely all need that encouragement. I would say the first thing is we always have something to be thankful for. So take a little bit of time and write down the things that you're thankful for, because in the midst of every situation, you can still give thanks. You don't have to be thankful that this happened, but I think that helps. I think the other thing is, I think journaling helps some, writing down maybe your feelings and talking about it and seeing how you can turn it into a positive. I know for me, a lot of times I pray, I put on some worship music, and that seems to help me as well, just getting into the presence of God. Talking to a friend, if you're married, talk to your spouse, if you have friends, talk to a friend. I think that's important, because I always feel better when I'm talking to my friends. And then if you're in business, this is a great opportunity for us to work, on what we want to improve in our business, because a lot of times we're so busy and involved in the everyday aspects of our business. This is a time for us to innovate and to think differently. And I really feel with my whole heart that we are going to be better because of it. I think it's just choosing that right attitude.
That is fantastic. I really want to thank you for making the time, for being here with me. I always get inspired when I am surrounded by people and human beings like you. You are such a tremendous inspiration to this world. Thank you for being who you are, and thank you for keep inspiring and helping others right there. This is Morning Coffee with Elio. Ladies and gentlemen, Jill Nash. We're gonna see you on Wednesday. Thank you, Jill, once again for everything that you do. Yes, we're gonna see you next time.
Bye, Elio.
Guys, thank you very much for watching Morning Coffee with Elio. Yes, we're really looking forward to seeing you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Do not forget to like us and follow us on Facebook and become part of the Morning Coffee with Elio community. Stay tuned, stay inspired, and live full.